Hi everyone, today we're going to make this awesome holiday card. And you're also going to make the envelope that it comes in. And so you're going to be able to put either, say Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, or anything you want on the front. You can also do design if you like. And then on the inside of the card, I'm going to show you how to do this cool paper cutout. And then this little card insert, we're gonna decorate it like a Christmas present, and I'm gonna stick it inside the Christmas tree. Just like that. Okay, and then on the card insert, you can also put like a paper clip on it and add money in the back. If you want to give this to someone, give them some money or a check. And then another thing you can do with this, you can add a paper clip and put a ribbon on it to make it look like a present from the front of the card also. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so what you're going to need for this project is around 3 sheets of computer paper. 1, 2, 3. 3 sheets of computer paper. You're going to need some cardstock or fancy paper, whatever floats your boat. You're going to need a Christmas tree cutout. I found this one online. You're going to need some paints. I'm using watercolor paints, but you don't have to. You can use whatever type of paint you have. You're also going to need an eraser, paintbrush, glue stick, X-Acto knife. Let's see where mine is. X-Acto knife. I left mine in my studio today, so I made this one from an extra blade I had out of like a chopstick, and I taped the blade to the chopstick. And you're also going to need a pencil, and that's what you're going to need to do this project. Okay, so let me show you the first steps. Let's move this aside. Oh, and I forgot, you're going to need a ruler. Of course, a ruler. Any type of ruler would do, as long as it has the right numbers. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to take a sheet of computer paper, and this is going to be your dummy book that we're going to make first. And so with your dummy book, you're going to measure, you're going to turn it this way, horizontal, excuse me, and you're going to measure 5 by 7. 5 by 7. And once you measure 5 by 7, go ahead and make, your lines for it. And so then your paper is going to look like this. Now, you want to keep your paper like this. Don't make your 5 by 7 down the middle, because we're going to use mostly all this paper, to prevent waste and things. And so what you're also going to need, that's what we forgot, scissors. That's not a good pair of scissors. Give me a minute. Okay, so we're also going to need scissors. And so with your scissors, what I need you to do is to cut out your 5 by 7 shape. So now here's your 5 by 7. And then what we're going to do with this paper now, you're going to take your 5 by 7 and you're going to lay it right at the edge of your paper. And then once you get at the edge, you're going to scoot it over about, I think it's about 1/4 of an inch. Let me check. Yeah, around 1/4 of an inch. And then what you're going to do on this side of your paper, you're going to make a dotted line. And then on this side of the paper, you're going to make a straight line. And so what you're going to do with this, you're going to cut out the straight line on the top and the straight line on the bottom. And that's going to be the second part of your template. And it's good to keep some extra computer paper by in case you do make mistakes. And then this last part, what you're going to do is kind of similar to how we did this one. So you're going to take your 5x7 paper from the first cut we did, and you're going to lay it at the edge of this paper. And then what you're going to do, you're going to scoot it aside another, 1/4 of an inch again. I think that'll work. That was my phone. Sorry about that. And then you're going to do a dotted line this way, all the way across. Okay, so what we're going to do next, you're going to take your 5x2 of paper that we cut out, you're going to lay it to the edge of your paper, just like that. And then what you're going to do with this is that you're going to scoot it over again, another about 1/4 of an inch again. And then after you do that, what you're going to do is go all the way across this paper with a dotted line, just like this. And I actually learned how to do this card on Skillshare. I did a similar card like this in the past, but the person who was teaching this on Skillshare, and I'll post the link, her way of doing it was just way better. So that's why I'm showing you this way of doing it, opposed to my old way of doing it. So that's what you're going to do with here. And so now you have this dotted line, but what you're going to do next, you're going to sort of use the transparency of this paper, and you're going to lay it keep it at the corner still, and then raise it up a little. So you can't see that right here. Let me try to show you this. Like, you can see the dotted line through the paper, but not all the way. But you're going to raise it up about a little over 1/4 of an inch on the top and the side right here. And then you're not going to make a dotted line, you're going to make a straight line. And this is going to be the back of your card. And then what we're going to do next, we're not going to cut the dotted line, but we are going to cut the solid line. Super simple, right? So what you have now, this is going to be the inside part of your card that you're going to cut. This is the back part of your card, and this is the front. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to take those dotted lines, we're going to fold them in. Remember, this is just your dummy. It's not going to be your final card. I tore that off a little. Don't be as aggressive as I was with the paper. And then fold this other one like this. And ignore this dotted line. That's just the back of another paper that I already used before. And so what you have is, I'm going to just erase this so I won't confuse you here. And so what you have here is the back of the card, and then the inside of the card. So you're not going to glue anything yet at all. Don't glue anything, don't go ahead. But I'm just going to show you how the card's going to go. You want to make sure your card, the measurements are all lined up. If it's not, just trim off a little. And so I put this in 5x7 on top of this. And then this part, this little flap, you're just going to fit it in here. And then, let me fix that. You just want to make sure the card is even. And so see how that fit in there? So you just slide it in, and that's why we need to make sure there's enough room for that flap. So make sure it's at least 1/4 of an inch or more if you want, but don't make it less or it won't stay. And then you can see my card's a little off a little. Right, mine's off on the side, so I'm going to have to take a little bit off of this 1/4 of an inch right here. I went a little over because I can't trim it that way because that's where the fold is. And let me see how it looks now. And this is why we make a dummy, so you can see for sure. And so now it looks pretty even, except for this very top part right here. It needs to be trimmed just a little. And that's your card. So now it's going to open, like when you do make your card, it's going to open like this. It's going to open like this. And then this is the part we're going to make the cutout. So we're going to go ahead and use the cardstock, and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So this is the cardstock. You can buy cardstock in a pack at Michael's or any arts and crafts store or any art store, in general. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use this dummy that we made. And we're going to take all the pieces apart, put that aside. And the first one I'm going to do is the 5x7. And what we're going to do next is just trace this. Trace and cut. And so now I'm going to take this cardstock, put it on the edge of the paper again, move it over a little. And I knew that the exact 1/4 of an inch was a little too much, so I'm going to make it just like that, scoot it in just a little more. And then you can play around with this, see what works for you. And then I'm going to make the dotted line. Okay, so now we have the inside that goes inside that on the bottom page. Then we have the front cover. So now we're going to make the last one. We're going to take another sheet of cardstock and we're going to lay it on the edge again and then scoot it over. And we're going to make our dotted line. And on here we can't see, like the computer paper, we can't see through this. So we're just going to look at this line and raise it up a little. And if you want that much, that looks good. And you're going to make a line. Continue the line. And then over here, same thing. Look at that line and scoot it over. That line right there. Make sure you see it. And then we're going to go like this. And then we're going to cut that out. Okay. So now we have, like before, but this isn't our dummy, this is going to be our final one. We have the front, the middle, and the back. And so, just like before, now this time, this is where you're going to use your X-Acto knife. You can't just fold it like this, because what happens when you fold cardstock is heavier. It's going to look like that. You're going to see all the veins coming out. So what you're going to do is take your ruler and your X-Acto knife, and you're just going to barely press down carefully, and you're not going to go through the paper, and you're just going to score it. Just make sure you're not going through the paper. Okay, so now you can see the little, it bends better. So now I can go like this. You see how easy that was? So then, on the corners here, what I'm going to do, just go like this. One, make a line this way, you know, from this point to this point. And then after you do that, you're going to go cut off this part and this part. Just like that. Okay? So once we do that, remember, do not start gluing or get too excited because this isn't done yet. And if you glue it, you're going to mess up the final step. So I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to score this one. And see, I can tell it's a little bit crooked. You can fix it, you know, as you go along. And so with this, I'm going to put this one aside and this. So now what you're going to do, you're going to take your Christmas tree cutout, and you can look up like Christmas tree coloring pages, things like that, and then just copy, paste it, or press print, and then you'll have your little Christmas tree design. And so I'm just going to cut this off. And what we're going to do is, I like to transfer things on here. So you can also make a photocopy and then do it that way and then just, you know, trace your photocopy. But I'm not going to do that today. So what I'm going to do, this is the number 8B pencil from Dewart. You can also use like vine charcoal, any type of charcoal or crayon, and just, you know, color on the back of it. And that's what I'm going to do now. Like that, and you can barely see it, so I'm gonna do one more here. You can also tape this down in case it moves. No, I can see it. So what I'm gonna do next is just trace this. I'm gonna do the same thing on here. This is my cardstock, so I'm gonna do some more transferring, and this time I'm running out of pencil, and I don't know what my pencil sharpener is, so this time I'm gonna use crayon. This is a watercolor crayon, but it'll still work. And I'm gonna here. And now when you're doing your Christmas tree, you have to make sure that it doesn't go all the way to the edge of this, because what's going to happen is, where's my card? What's going to happen is on this one right here, I made this card on the inside to go with my insert, but when I made my insert, since this tree was way off of here, it was a hollow space. Or not a hollow space, but the fold from the card, I don't know if you can see that right there, this part, this fold that's inside this glue, it was like a white space here and a white space here. So it messed up the design, so I had to like shave it off right there. So that's what we want to avoid. So we'll do our best, but what we're going to do is try to center it as much as possible. If it does go over, we'll just fix it. And what I'm saying, you can tape this down so it won't move. Mine's a little over, so if I go like this. You can tape it down so it won't move, and then you can check your paper. That's that weird line. Oh, I see where it goes. It's supposed to be right here. So we're gonna make it stop there. Okay, and that's my Christmas tree. And so once you get your Christmas tree on your card, this is one way you can do it. You can cut it out like this. And see, it'll start to cut. But I'm going to show you another way some people do it. And I got that a little wet. Another way some people do it, they take this. I wanted to show you both ways. They take this paper, instead of tracing this over again, another way you could have done it is take this paper, lay it on here, and we're not going to use this paper today. Or we might. Let me see if I can use it. Actually, no, let's use this one because it's already taped. Another way you can do this, make sure it's all lined up. Take it down. You can put this over like this, and then you can cut through the 2 sheets of paper. And so see, it does the same thing. Okay? So I'm not going to do that today. What I am going to do, but I wanted you to know that because in paper cutting art, this is like a method that a lot of people use. They put the paper on top and cut through the paper. And then you don't have to do that extra step. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just going to cut out, and I'm going to put more tape on my little homemade X-Acto knife because it's starting to wobble, and I don't want to cut myself. I don't know if you ever got cut by an X-Acto knife, but it doesn't feel nice. Okay. I'm going to unstick this. Okay. Oh, I made a boo-boo. That's not what I meant to do. But that's your Christmas tree if you want it cut out. But if you want it to stay on, you have to keep this paper on. So then it would look like, where's the paper? Then the next step would be, this is, remember this is the bottom, this will go on top. This is more like our regular card, so that's okay. And then you would stick it here, but if you wanted this to stay on, you would end cutting from the inner part. And so then it would look like this. Okay, and then like when you stuck your little, and this one, I'm going to show you how to make this little insert. Then when you stuck your insert, it would look like that. Okay? And then this one, if I did keep it that way, I would probably cut this into one of these shapes or make a new shape so that line's not there or it doesn't look funny. Let's see how it looks without it. Or you can just do it like that. Yeah. And so that would be your Christmas tree. Now without this, this is your Christmas tree. That's how it looks like that. Okay? So that's what we're going to do for right now. And so your next step is now we're going to glue everything together. I have my trusty glue stick. And you gotta be pretty liberal with this since this is heavy paper. You can also use Elmer's glue. And just make sure you don't glue, like I got glue in here. Make sure if you get glue in there, try not to glue those two papers together. And then here's my cardstock. And I'm going to flip it over this way because it looks a little bit cleaner. So then I can erase it. And that's because my fingers are dirty. I'm going to lay that on here and just press down the sides. Pretty. And see if you need any trimming. If this one needs trimming just a little bit. But no, I think it may work. Has like a little extra sheet right there. Now if you do this, try and remember, don't cut the fold. Just cut whatever part is sticking out. Okay. And then this part, you're going to glue in here liberally. You're going to stick this on the fold and press. You see my hands are making this card really dirty. So we're going to paint over it anyway. And then press this way, press this way. And see, we need to trim, I think. Let me see. Need to trim up here. Okay. And this is just a part that I cut too much of. But can we trim there? I'm gonna try. No, I'm not gonna do that. Well, this part right here is the extra part that I cut, so you just need to make sure you test it again before you do it. But here's your card. And the extra sheet that I made, I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to put it on the front of my card here. Okay, so now that's your card. And so all you have to do now is make this part, and this is made easily. Take another sheet of cardstock and sort of measure it like this. Measure another 5 by 7 with this. You know what, I'm going to try this and see what happens. You're not supposed to cut through here, but it's glued pretty far, so I'm going to try it anyway. There. Oh, still in check. Okay, so then you would cut this like this. This is another 5 by 7. And then what you want to do is sort of measure how far, play around with it, and see how much goes in. So, see how it stuck out like that? Just shove it in, and since it's wet glue still, it'll give you enough space. And then see, that's about how much you need to cut off. And you may need to cut off more because I'm pretty sure I did. And then this, let's see if it fits. Nope. So it needs like moving room, so I just keep cutting. And this is going to be shoved in here. And once you get it in all the way, this part, see, it doesn't go in all the way because that fold is down there. So what you want to do is utilize this top half from here and just cut it. And so now you have a card. Let's see, it was still a little snug getting out. So I'm going to cut it one more, just a little bit more right here. And now you have the perfect present. So this little insert, what you're going to do with it is decorate it like a Christmas present. So think patterns. So you can make snowflakes, lines, stars like I did here. You can draw pictures of Santa, reindeer noses, whatever you want on here, as long as it looks like a wrapping paper pattern. And you can also just use wrapping paper. You know, take this, take some wrapping paper, glue it on. That'll work too. And then the next step, you can write a nice sentiment on the middle here. You know, happy holidays, miss you, love you, and then put your name. Or you can write your sentiment on the back. Happy holidays from so and so. Love so and so. Okay, and then you can put the paper clip here. I'm going to show you. Paper clip here if you want, and put some money on. And then you can also put like a ribbon on if you want. Just make sure they're Christmas colors. Then slide it in. And then the next step is to paint your card and make it look pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make the envelope. That's that weird line. Oh, I see where it goes. It's supposed to be right here. So we're going to make it stop there. Okay, and that's my Christmas tree. And so once you get your Christmas tree on your card, this is one way you can do it. You can cut it out like this. And see, it'll start to cut. But I'm going to show you another way some people do it. And I got that a little wet. Another way some people do it, they take this. I wanted to show you both ways. They take this paper, instead of tracing this over again, another way you could have done it is take this paper, lay it on here, and we're not going to use this paper today. Or we might. Let me see if I can use it. Actually, no, let's use this one, because it's already taped. Another way you can do this, make sure it's all lined up. Take it down. You can put this over like this, and then you can cut through the two sheets of paper. And so see, it does the same thing. Okay? So I'm not going to do that today. What I am going to do, but I wanted you to know that because in paper cutting art, this is like a method that a lot of people use. They put the paper on top and cut through the paper. And then you don't have to do that extra step. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just going to cut out, and I'm going to put more tape on my little homemade X-Acto knife because it's starting to wobble, and I don't want to cut myself. I don't know if you ever got cut by an X-Acto knife, but it doesn't feel nice. Okay. I'm going to unstick this. I just need to explain this for you because I like to do a lot of extra steps, but you don't have to do that. You can just put this right on top and then cut. So make sure it's taped down. And so see, I know where I'm making sure that I'm cutting inside these lines. So see, that's why it's important that these were connected. And make sure you have like a nice sharp X-Acto knife. If you don't, it's not going to work. Or it's going to be very frustrating. Get the straight line. Just having a nice sharp X-Acto knife makes it, you know, work better. And see, this is how it's going to look on the opposite side, since I did the one with the inner cutouts. Now if I cut it from the outer side, it would have more of that Christmas tree shape. But I like this. But I can still get that Christmas tree shape. I can show you how in a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to, oh, that's where I cut to show the example. Cut this outer part, and this, excuse me, and this is how we're going to get the Christmas tree shape. Just make sure you don't cut that inner part right there, because then, well, you can, but because it's not going to make a difference, but you're not going to see it anyway. And you can get an X-Acto knife at Michael's sometimes. It's not where it's supposed to be. If you go in the art section, it may look like they're out, but don't give up. Go like in the sewing section, or like by the section with the markers or pens, and they usually have like a whole bunch for like $7 or $11. Just it's like ask if they have any craft knives. And they come with extra blades. Mine I don't have to show you, but it came with 3 extra blades. I think it was $11, and it had 3 different sizes in the blades. And that's only because I couldn't find the craft knife, so that's why I'm telling you this now. And so then I bought the most expensive one there. But next time I know. So for you won't make the same mistake, that's how you get the craft knives. Okay. Oh, I made a boo-boo. That's not what I meant to do. But that's your Christmas tree if you want it cut out. But if you want it to stay on, you have to keep this paper on. So then it would look like, where's the paper? Then the next step would be, this is, remember this is the bottom, this will go on top. This is more like our regular card, so that's okay. And then you would stick it here, but if you wanted this to stay on, you would end cutting from the inner part. And so then it would look like this. Okay, and then like when you stuck your little, I mean, and this one, I'm going to show you how to make this little insert. Then when you stuck your insert, it would look like that. Okay? And then this one, if I did keep it that way, I would probably cut this into one of these shapes or make a new shape so that line's not there or it doesn't look funny. Let's see how it looks without it. Or you can just do it like that. Yeah. And so that would be your Christmas tree. Now without this, this is your Christmas tree. That's how it looks like that. Okay? So that's what we're going to do for right now. And so your next step is now we're going to glue everything together. I have my trusty glue stick. And you gotta be pretty liberal with this since this is heavy paper. You can also use Elmer's glue. And just make sure you don't glue, like I got glue in here. Make sure if you get glue in there, try not to glue those 2 papers together. And then here's my cardstock. And I'm going to flip it over this way because it looks a little bit cleaner. So then I can erase it. And that's because my fingers are dirty. I'm going to lay that on here and just press down the sides. Pretty. And see if you need any trimming. If this one needs trimming just a little bit. But no, I think it may work. Has like a little extra sheet right there. Now if you do this, try and remember, don't cut the fold. Just cut whatever part is sticking out. Okay, and then this part, you're going to glue in here liberally. And you're going to stick this on the fold and press. You see my hands are making this card really dirty. So we're going to paint over it anyway. And then so press this way, press this way. And see, we need to trim, I think. Let me see. Need to trim up here. Okay. And this is just a part that I cut too much of. But can we trim there? I'm gonna try. No, I'm not gonna do that. Well, this part right here is the extra part that I cut, so you just need to make sure you test it again before you do it. But here's your card. And the extra sheet that I made, I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to put it on the front of my card here. Okay, so now that's your card. And so all you have to do now is make this part, and this is made easily. Take another sheet of cardstock and sort of measure it like this. Measure another 5 by 7 with this. You know what? I'm going to try this and see what happens. Measure how far, play around with it, and see how much goes in. So, see how it stuck out like that? Just shove it in, and since it's wet glue still, it'll give you enough space. And then see, that's about how much you need to cut off. And you may need to cut off more because I'm pretty sure I did. And then this, let's see if it fits. Nope. So it needs like moving room, so I'm going to just keep cutting. And this is going to be shoved in here. And once you get it in all the way, this part, see, it doesn't go in all the way because that fold is down there. So what you want to do is utilize this top half from here. And just cut it. And so now you have a card. But see, it was still a little snug getting out. So I'm going to cut it one more, just a little bit more right here. And now you have the perfect present. So this little insert, what you're going to do with it is decorate it like a Christmas present. So think patterns. So you can make snowflakes, lines, stars like I did here. You can draw pictures of Santa, reindeer noses, whatever you want on here, as long as it looks like a wrapping paper pattern. And you can also just use wrapping paper. You know, take this, take some wrapping paper, glue it on. That'll work too. And then the next step, you can write a nice sentiment on the middle here. You know, happy holidays, miss you, love you, and then put your name. Or you can write your sentiment on the back. Happy holidays from so-and-so, love so-and-so. Okay? And then you can put the paper clip here. I'm going to show you. Paper clip here if you want, and put some money on. And then you can also put like a ribbon on if you want. Just make sure they're Christmas colors. Then slide it in. And then the next step is to paint your card and make it look pretty. Okay? So now I'm going to show you how to make the envelope. Okay, so for the next step, I'm going to show you how to make the envelope. And this is the envelope right here. So you're going to need some tracing paper, scissors, and a glue stick, a ruler again, and a pencil for this part. So I use this size tracing paper, 14 by 17. That's on my coloring pages. So when I stick it in the middle, I'm going to fold it this way. So you probably don't even have to mark it. You can ignore that, what I mentioned. Scoot it down instead. Scoot it down like this, just so there's a flap. And then you're going to fold it up this way. Okay? So it's going to look like this for now. And so what you're going to do next is, with this, you're going to fold it back just a little so it goes over your paper. And if you want to make sure it has enough room, you can, when you did the fold, you can make like a little extra space so it's like, it'll be easy for them to pull out the card. Okay, so now we fold it, so it's like origami kind of. So you fold this back, you fold this back, right? And so when we fold it that back, we're going to take this out for a second and we're going to cut this. And now, this is where you can use your ruler to cut, to make the cuts a little more precise. From this line, you can mark it and cut it, or you can just go by, you know, use your eye. Okay, so now, remember how we had like that fold? It's kind of like that with the back of the card. Kind of looks like that. And so next, that's the fold that we had for the card. You're going to fold it up, line it up to that fold like this. And see, that's where you can sort of like play around with the paper to make sure you have enough space here. And then right here, we're going to test it, putting our card on top of it, like that. So what we're going to do, this extra space, this extra line up here, we're going to cut it off. Okay? So now, if the card was in here, we're going to test it, so it has to go between those two lines right there. And if this was closed, it would fold over like this. But we're also going to do one more step before we fold it over. I just want to keep the card in to see where the line is. And so you're going to do one more cut, and that's on the this part right here, one of the sides, any side will work. And just gonna make sure it's lined up to the card and a little bit over. You're gonna cut that part off. And so now that's your envelope. And so the next thing what you want to do with your envelope, see these little tail feathers? We're going to cut them off. Goodbye, tail feather. No more shaking the tail feather for you. And let's flip down a little. And so now what you're going to do, take your card out and you're going to just put the glue, and be careful here because you don't want glue where your card is. And then you're going to line this up and press. Just like that. And I have a little overage here. I'm cut it off. And since I made this card like cut it wrong right there, I'm just going to make a cool little design for it. You don't have to. And it's a little uneven, so I'm going to do this too. And that's my envelope. And so now when I put the card in, you're going to stick it in just like that. And then now, oh, see it has a little extra over still, so I need to cut that off. Just a little, so it can close the right way. That's not a perfect cut right now, but it'll do for now. Okay. And so now, the way you close your card, you can get like a Christmas sticker or a piece of tape. I use tape just for the demo. You can just tape it like this, but you can also use washi tape, and then your card's in here. And then just make sure that when your card's in the envelope, that it's this part, the whatever you're coloring, is facing the front of your card. And then let's try to add more glue here. Cut it. So this is the back of the card. Make sure the front of your card is in the front. Tape got on the thing. Gotta take off the tape. Okay, that'll be better now. And once it's dry, it'll be like, it'll slip in and out of here very quickly. Okay, now tape, you get to come back on. And so then it will look just like that. And that's how you make a Christmas card cut out. And I tore that. And that's how they open a Christmas card. Okay.